The borough applied for an early intervention program, DCED, and requested a grant to pay 75% of the cost of the program. Appraisals have been obtained from Markham Motors for car number 1 and car number 4. Council will review and give further instructions to place ads for bids. The meeting was held July 19, 2018, with host company number 1. Kirk Perry, Jerry Walls spoke on behalf of host company number 1 and discussed plans with council. A motion will be made to hire Lou Degman as a crossing guard for 2018 and 19 school year pending clearance. The same goes for Paul Nor and Carmela Kumar. Motion will be made to hire Matt Evans as a part-time police officer. The motion will be made to hire Matt Williams as a part-time police officer. Report the handicap on First and Susquehanna Avenue is completed. The basketball backcourts are completed at Bowling Squad. And DEPW will be using COG's back truck between August the 27th and September the 7th to clean out storm drains in the borough. The DEP will have COG sweeper between August 20th and 23rd to be swept throughout the borough. PJ Gilligan's property grass was cut on August 8th, and DEP, the property owner will be paid. Will be paying the bill. Luzerne County West Nile program conducted another ultra-low volume spray for mosquitoes on August the 15th. Community yard sale will be held Saturday, September the 22nd, at no cost to the residents. No permits are needed. Alberta Guidicelli, owner of Super Bounce located on Midway Shopping Center, will address council regarding the possibility of murals being painted in the borough among the possible community events. That's the end of the agenda, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
For the work session, I had a couple of things I wanted to go over with you guys. First off, I guess we'll start with the audit. Did everybody get a copy of the 16 audit? Everybody got it? How many documents did everybody get? How many? You got 2 documents from the doc? Everyone got 2? Okay. So after I reviewed the audit, I contacted Crochat and Associates and asked them, because I had questions about the audit. And I said I requested from the borough manager the full audit. I said I requested, the full audit. She said, okay. I said, well, I have these questions. And I went over them with her, and she proceeded to say to me, dumbfounded, well, what about the third document? And I said, well, what third document are you talking about? So this is the third document from the audit that basically is a management summary, explains their findings. So my question is, if we asked the borough manager for the full complete audit, why didn't we get the full audit? It was provided to her. I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on, because that does not seem transparent. There's one extra copy. I don't know if you guys want to pass it around, but there's some findings in there. Something I took away that is in the audit that's addressed here, I mean, there's many different things that we found issues with. And if you read this, one of them is during our review of cash receipts, we noted several cash receipts were not deposited timely. We recommend all cash receipts be deposited on a timely basis. Interfund transfers. Now, this was a topic that we discussed last month. During our review of the revenue accounts, we noted a reimbursement check from WVSA for $21,875 for a sewer-related invoice that was erroneously deposited into the general fund rather than the sewer fund. As a result, an interfund receivable payable exists between the funds. All interfund advances borrowings should be reported to and approved by council. We recommend the funds be transferred back. I mean, there's a full document here. You guys can read it at your leisure, but I guess the biggest issue I have is, this is addressed to Borough Council. So if you guys all asked for, as well as I did, a copy of the audit, why did we not receive it? Why was this withheld when this was provided by ProTrack for part of the 2016 audit?
I requested that a number of times, a whole lot. Obviously, the first part, but then there has to be another part, because I remember in the past that we, let's get two parts, as far as I know, but I didn't know there was a third part. Did you get one of the finance committee? The third part? The third part.
You didn't get this part either? No. You're the chairman of finance, right? Okay. You didn't get that either, David?
Yeah.
So you were never given that to distribute out to anybody either? Okay. I mean, I find that pretty disturbing, being that this is basically the summary of our audit.
We have to have, she has to give us everything. This is ridiculous, coming out of.
So that's one of the things I wanted to discuss. The other thing I wanted to discuss was, actually Councilman Beloga sent me the email because I wasn't copied on the original from the borough manager regarding the loan accounts that were brought up at the last meeting. She sent out an email that she had talked to the bank, that they said that it wasn't, set up from day one properly, and that they waived the fees because it was a bank error. She also said she was opening an investigation because someone who wasn't on the list of approved people contacted the bank. So I'm happy to report that I was the person that contacted the bank, so you guys put it in her investigation. And after speaking with them, not only did I speak with the president of the bank, but I also spoke with our relationship manager, Robert Riley. They provided, I asked them two simple questions. I said, it is stated in the below email, and I forwarded them Tamara's email, the second loan was set up as an automatic withdrawal, and they were taking it out incorrectly. As you can see, from day one, it was a bank error. I continually told the commercial banker that it was just on paper, and we would not pay any of it. I worked to have them finally give us something in writing and taken care of, and it is finally being withdrawn every month on the correct day. The bank has all the paperwork that we filled out from the day we took out the loan that it was supposed to be set up as an automatic withdrawal. Their response, for review of our loan documents, auto pay was initiated on the term loan on July 9th, 2018. So that's not accurate. So there was no auto draft set up from day one. The second question, I said, can you please clarify as to why BN decided to remove the late fees? Because it was basically stated that they were removed because they were in error. The response, Mr. Santinello waived the late fees per request of Mayor Dominic in an effort to put the best foot forward for the citizens of the Langland Borough.
Thank you.
No problem. So again, first instance, you're not given the information you requested. The second instance, you're given inaccurate information. I just wanted to present this to you guys so you're aware of it. Those are two of the issues that I wanted to raise.
And it is the truth, because I looked at the bank loan, and there isn't nothing set up for an automatic payment from the beginning. So that is a fact, which I question as well. And then the question I have is why, as I'm looking at the treasurer's report, I see another withdrawal of $25,000 from the sewer account on 7/1.
And the other issue is we have the audit. Now that you have that third document that says we owe the sewer fund $21,000 from the general fund.
And another 25,000.
So that makes 45 and there's 20 in the general.
Do you think we should call them like different accounting service? This is like a mess.
I mean, it's just, it's not good. We're being told one thing that's not factual, and we're not being given all the documents. So, I leave that up to council if you guys want to do anything with that.
Then there was a meeting scheduled, host company number 1, that you guys attend that. I was what was the outcome?
It was just a discussion, that's all it was. There was no outcome, no votes taken, nothing.
I know.
It's still at the gate, we're still talking about it, there's nothing given away or nothing. You guys can speak up, I can.
Yeah, they were asking questions, they gave some answers, clarified some things.
It was a fruitful discussion.
They had some good points.
So I wasn't here either, but it was my understanding, we were at the council meeting, that the meeting was originally for the EMS committee. Correct, Chair?
Yeah, we requested to meet with the EMS committee.
Okay.
Instead, we had a quorum of council. It wasn't advertised in the paper. It wasn't posted on the building, which are the 2 criteria for holding a special meeting. Could it have ended up in a vote? Could have. Don't know. Didn't get there.
Now, when you questioned that when you got here, what were you told?
We were told by camera outside in front of the building that it was in the paper. It was not.
And I received an email as well stating that it was in the paper, and that there was an actual receipt of a bill that Roseanne would have that would, satisfy that question. That was from the borough manager as well. I spoke with Roseanne, it never made it to the paper, therefore there was no bill. So I asked Tamara for a copy of said bill and never got a response. So technically, I mean, is that a Sunshine Act violation?
Not a meeting.
What's
That
that?
wasn't a meeting.
But there was a quorum of membership.
Discussion.
But there was a quorum.
Yes, there was.
Well, that makes the Sunshine Act, because not advertised properly.
As long as the discussion has not occurred and a vote doesn't happen, the quorum can meet to gather information for their own purposes to make a decision. Information gathering is not a violation of the Sunshine Act.
Well, then why even say that you're going to advertise it?
Mayor, as you know, today
You're not, yeah.
I'm filling in for Shannon because she's expected to have a baby soon. Yeah, I can't answer your question without more information.
Okay,
So-
that's fine. Another thing that was brought to my attention today that could pose some issues for the borough and the police department. The surveillance systems in the building. There's cameras inside the police station that the police do not have access to. I know there was an issue where the host company needed to see some footage, and the only access to those cameras is held by the borough manager under lock and key in her office. I think it's, a little crazy to have a civilian without access, without, OPEC numbers, or without, I had to get fingerprinted, and, they were very certain that I went and got fingerprinted before I went into the police station. I mean, we have someone who could basically watch footage of our officers inside the police station, and I'm waiting to find out some confirmation if there's a camera inside an evidence locker as well. But again, The police department does not have access to that. When I first came on board, I asked a question as to why there were different systems in the building and why access was not given to the police department. And I was not really given an answer or determination at the time of whether it was right or wrong. But, I mean, my feeling is any cameras in this building should be controlled by the police department for monitoring purposes if needed. And my bigger issue is there remote access? I think we need to determine if anyone could view these cameras at any time that they wish. Is there a dedicated line? Is it secured? Is it a closed system? I reached out, trying to ask different people different things, and, I'd like to ask Major Jordan some questions if you'd be willing to talk per our discussion that we had, whether or not you have some insight being in your years of law enforcement.
First, ladies and gentlemen, I will say to you that I have an enormous amount of experience in security cameras, both in private industry and law enforcement. And first, you want to make very, very sure you have a closed system, i.e., that it's only open to people who have a need to know, authorized people. When you're looking at cameras, and I'm assuming they have audio, do they not, Mayor?
One of them has audio that I know of in the police station, that's in the interrogation room. We're not, I was discussing it earlier with an officer. If you speak loud enough, you may be able to get picked up through the door, but we're not sure.
All right, and now I will ask, do we have proper signing to let everyone know that we have both audio and video surveillance?
In the police department, there's a sign on the interrogation room. Throughout the borough, I have not seen it.
Well, looking at privacy, you need to sign wherever someone is going to be within camera range. Now, when we talk about law enforcement and you need to know, that's exactly what you have to look at. First of all, everyone has to believe, and I'm talking about all of law enforcement, that there's integrity in the Wyoming Police Department. We as the citizens must know that, and other law enforcement agencies that will interact with the Wyoming Police Department must be absolutely confident that there's integrity. You have it on your cruisers, one of your key words. Taking it to the next step, non-law enforcement folks have very little use or need to be viewing the police department's activities. And those you're overseeing the department. It's that simple. And as I said, if I go in and I want to have a conversation with one of your officers, I want to make sure that that isn't going to be vetted to the whole world. That's simple. Any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time. So that's another issue I
I
raised.
mean, that's really not, if she has access to just certain cameras, I don't know why she has access at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I said I need to know, you have to be sure that the people who have need to know only have password access.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if she really has access to certain computers that nobody else does. Why does she even have access at all? I think the council should vote to have nobody but the police, official police officers have access to those cameras. I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, I shouldn't have access to the cameras. Should you, Joe, or Frank? I don't think I should have access to them. I just think it should be a policeman, law enforcement.
I mean, I don't think so either. I mean, like you were saying, like when we had our discussion, if, someone comes in as an informant or something, and they get picked up on a camera or anything like that, I mean, could this potentially hurt cases? Having access to that from a civilian? It just doesn't make sense that, if it was set up like that, that's fine, but I think it needs to be corrected ASAP so that it doesn't put the department at risk of any, excess litigation or anything like that. One other thing too that we could, I guess, address here while we have time, I was gonna mention it when we're doing the police report. As everyone's aware, if you're not aware, Officer Mercavich is back on duty in Wyoming, which
Thank you.
within his first week back, he approached me with something that I guess he discussed years ago when he was here. He was taking the cruiser to go get cleaned down at Mr. Clean. I guess they usually buy a booklet and they go, and it's $255 per booklet. I guess our borough typically goes through 4 a year. Simple savings, if you buy a year pass, it's $600. So I would think that would make sense to pass that on to the borough manager to get a package bought for January, so that way we're saving, $500 is what it basically boils down to, which could be used towards the police department or. But I definitely wanted to say thanks for that. I mean, simple savings. We had an issue with the police department, we got another 2 minutes, that our officer in charge, McGurk, just took care of. They didn't even have ammo to qualify and to go to a training. I mean, that's mismanagement, that they don't have the ammo that they need to do what they need to do. They actually had to borrow 1,000 rounds of ammo off of Officer McGurk to go do this. So we just purchased the ammo, made sure he got his ammo back, which it just blows my mind to that level that this has been going on. And, I do want to commend Officer McGurk. He's gone above and beyond since, thrown into this spot. And once we get into the police report, he actually put together, on his own time, because I told him that council had already decided on the vehicles, but he put together a little bit of a report as to, his thoughts on selling one of the vehicles. So I hope that he gives the time to at least discuss that with everybody. And lastly, we just had a bike rodeo down at the park where basically kids were able to come, practice riding around cones, get their bikes registered, and, Officer Slackhoff, one of our other full-time guys, did a great job. I mean, he took the helm with that, and, it turned out to be a real nice event. It's more of what we're going to try to do with the police department, it's more community events, so it's been going well. I think we're in a good place right now with where we stand, with exactly the way that the police department's being run, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks we'll have Officer Noble back, so we'll have 4 full-time officers on the street, which will put us back in a good spot. So just want to thank those guys.
Anyone else address council tonight? Wyoming Borough Council meeting for August 20th, 2018 will come to order. Will please stand, face the flag of our country and recite the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Stephen Yalowayka.
Present.
Mr. Frank Garrett.
Present.
Mr. Michael Malova.
President.
Mr. Michael Flynn.
Here.
Mrs. Diane Smiles. Mr. Joseph Stotts.
Here.
Attorney Shannon Craig Latsansky, absent. Lars Anderson, Mayor Joseph Donovan.
Thank you. The minutes for July 2018 meeting are available for review on at the Borough Office. Minutes are approved by a motion made by Mr. Yurek, seconded by Mrs. Smiles. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Reports that Police Commissioner, Street Commissioner, and Code Enforcing Officer the month of July 2018 have been submitted and placed on file for public inspections. Reports in committee, administration, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Borough applied for an early intervention program with DCED and requested a grant to pay 75% of the cost of the program. Appraisals have been obtained from Archimoto's Police Car number 1 and Police Car number 2. Council will review and give further instructions to place ads for bids. That's in my report, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Schultz. Emergency Service, Police and Fire Department, Mrs. Smiles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A meeting was held on July 19, 2018. Post Company number 1, Kurt Carey and Jerry Ross, spoke on behalf of Post Company. Post Company number 1 discussed their plans with council. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Smiles. Health and Sanitation, Recycling, and Solid Waste, Mr. Yurick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's no report.
Thank you, Mr. Yurick. Personnel, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion will be made to hire Louis Deckman as a crossing guard for the 2018-19 school year pending clearances. Motion will be made to hire Paul Kamer as a crossing guard for the 2018-19 school year pending clearances. And a motion will be made to hire Carmela Coolbach as an alternate crossing guard for the 2018-19 school year pending clearances. Motion will be made to hire Matt Evans as a part-time police officer. And a motion will be made to hire Matt Miller as a part-time police officer. That'll end my report.
Thank you, Mr.
I got one question. I thought we were, I thought, did we interview two on the second page? Which I wasn't here, do you know?
There was no.
There were only one show? That's my question. I thought we were supposed to.
The
You'd like
last
my-
one never was called back, so there was only a total of 3.
Okay, that's fine.
Three, there was
Just
three
one.
total.
Because I knew there was more.
Yeah, she never called.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Public Property, Building, and Recreation, Mr. Yurick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The basketball backboards are complete at Bowling Park. That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Flynn. I'll read it out if you don't mind. I'm Jerry, please. We have a motion tonight to continue the suspension without pay of Police Commissioner Michael Flanagan indefinitely pending upon the outcome of the criminal charges held against him. That's what's supposed to be front here.
I'll make it. Oh,
No, I forgot to read it then.
oh, sorry, that's okay.
You're quite well.
For clarity, I think that should have been included in the agenda as part of the personnel motions from Councilman Flynn, sorry.
Street sewers and public works, Mr. Yurick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The handicap curb on First Street, Susquehanna Avenue was complete. Everything fine there, Bob?
Yes, they did a good job. I mean, they helped me a good job.
Thank you. DEP will be using the COGVAC truck between August 27th through September 7th to clean out storm drains in the borough. The DEP will have the COG sweeper between August 20th through the 23rd, and will be sweeping the borough, the borough streets. The KB Guilford property grass was cut on August 8th by the DPW, and the property owner will be billed. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Yurick. Zoning and planning, Mr. Beloga.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Luzerne County West Nile program conducted another ultra low spraying for mosquitoes on August 15th, and I did notice also they put traps there at the end of some of the streets, little boxes, I guess they gather, maybe the females, I'm assuming, and for testing too for West Nile virus, because the mosquitoes have been pretty bad in this town. So they did a number of sprayings, and Roseanne, if you could try to get a hold of them and say maybe they could do another one, we can do it. I know you just did one. I'm not sure if they're back and
It
forth.
was terrible when the water was up, it was terrible. When you go out in the backyard, there was bugs everywhere. I don't know if because the water pushed everything up and the eggs got hatched or whatever, I don't know, but it was terrible.
Okay, another one, community yards, a motion was made Cleaning of the yard sale will be held Saturday, September 22nd, at no cost to the residents and no permit needed.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
That's it. Saturday. And if Roseanne, if you could put it on the webpage, and see if maybe like people could respond to see which streets people want to have yard sales on, that would be great.
I'm sure if it's borough-wide, I'm sure street probably.
Yeah, I know. But if you go on the website, you know.
People can make comments.
Yeah, whatever, I don't know if you want
Give their address.
to.
Put it on committee reports.
Sure, I feel like put it under news. I can't
Should we-
access anything
could-
but the news, but I can put
Could
it
we
under
put it
there.
in the paper, is that possible?
I could put it under the
Yard
community
sale.
digest section.
Not the yard sale paper?
That'll cost the borough.
Yes.
You know,
How much would that be?
I don't know exactly. I can call and ask. I'll call.
I mean, I don't know, I think it's probably $20 or something. I mean, if that was all everybody put it in the paper, that'd be right.
You can put it in a dispatch, that's for advertising there.
But people check the paper, and go out and say, hey, look, this is our yard sale, Wyoming, unless you're passing through. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had it in about 7 or 8 years or 10 years or something, so I think it'd be good for the community. Could be fun.
Okay, Andre Canucci, owner of Super Bounce located in Midway Shopping Center, will address council regarding the possibility of murals being painted in the borough among other possible community events. Solicitor's report?
You want to talk?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Hi, how are you? That's okay, thank you. It's Alfred okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I just wanted to talk about maybe doing a couple of positive things for the community. My husband and I own Super Downs, and throughout this past year and a half, we've done a ton of events that we've had a lot of people show up for. Last year, we did the Halloween parade, and thousands of people came. I know the borough helped advertise for that. They sent flyers home with all the kids in Wyoming area. I was hoping we could do something like that again, but maybe get more involvement with local businesses, make it even bigger this year. You know, we're just getting a lot of bad press in the Wyoming area, and I'm trying to do positive things for the community, possibly bring farmers markets back. I don't know when the last time, I haven't been here for that long, but I know in Wilkes-Barre they're huge. Local daycares come to them, it teaches kids, you know, how to shop, all about eating healthy. It supports our local farmers. So I was hoping we could do something like that at the Butler Street Park. Just more positive community events. You know, not a whole lot goes on in Wyoming. Maybe a First Friday walk. We could do any, you know, old buildings, get some projects to do murals. Just some good press for Wyoming, bring more businesses here. I mean, the Midway is, Bonton's leaving, the Midway Beverage is leaving. It's gonna be just a completely dead shopping center it's gonna look very ugly, it's gonna be terrible for the community. So if we all work together, we can do like big festivals, things like that. October 27th though, we're doing a big parade. We're hoping the police came last year, they helped. All the local EMS providers came, it was really nice.
Get on the ball, we'll cooperate with you 100%.
Okay, so we can get flyers printed out again? Okay, great.
Anything you need, see our secretary treasurer.
Okay.
I think the big step too is we gotta get the rec board going, because this sort of falls underneath that. I know it was mentioned, I think, the last meeting that Council Corey and I were talking about getting it up and running again, but I definitely think if we get the right people who are passionate as you and some others in the borough, maybe we can get a meeting together, you know, in the next few weeks and see who's interested and try to get the rec board actually up and running. I believe, did we just get a donation to the rec board?
Yes, I was,
Okay,
yeah, $250 from the Rotary Club.
so the Rotary Club just donated $250 to the
They
rec.
donate that every year.
It's so nice to thank them.
Every year they,
So,
Yeah, just more things like that for the kids in our community. There's, not a whole lot for them to do, really. That's kind of why we run Super Bounce. I have 4 kids myself, and there's not a whole lot to do here. So we're trying to get more family involvement, just more positive things for the area. So any cooperation, I know it's late with farmers markets, but maybe we can get them on board for next June.
well, the problem was, we did that before, that we had very little involvement, for the simple fact was, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea, please don't,
Oh, sure.
but they're already committed to other places, and to get them pulled out, it was tough. And I believe we were down to only one, and it was O'Malley's, he didn't retire, and that was that.
He died.
Maybe if we did it on a day that they're not in Tunkhannock, Wilkes-Barre, or Pittston. I know the days, because I bring my kids to every other town but this one. And they have a great turnout, they have local bands. Maybe if you offered them a time slot that they weren't committed somewhere else, and if we advertised the right way, and got a lot more local people involved, I think you'd get a better turnout.
Our problem with that is parking. It's a one-way street. Park both ways, there's no emergency vehicles going up and down.
What about flat
That's
field
Butler Street.
somewhere else, flat
Somewhere
field?
in the Butler Street.
Yeah, maybe.
If you had it down there, yes, it'd be a different situation, yes.
do we have to get the rec board back up and running? Do you guys have to take a vote on that? Or we just have a meeting and see who's involved?
Something for our kids to look forward to every week, going to the local schools, can go in the morning and bring the kids. I think it would be nice for the community.
I think it's great.
We lived in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and I mean, it was what everyone did. They brought their kids to see the bands, every parent knew each other. Disconnects here where nobody really works together. So I think it would be a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Roseanne. Thank you. Put that under the community news as well, on the webpage. What about the rec board? Please.
Solicitor report? Thank you. Mayor's report?
The police department responded to 254 incidents this month. I addressed a lot of the police news that I wanted to earlier, but I do want to ask Officer McGurk to come up and basically present to you guys. I know we've discussed it at 2 different meetings, and council seemed adamant to get rid of the Explorer and keep the Tahoe, and I had addressed that with Officer McGurk, and he took his time, again, on his own time, to basically get both cars appraised. And Max, you want to just walk us through what you...
Yes, good evening, members of council, good evening, everyone, West Borough. The basic discussion that's going on right now is trying to get one of the cars sold, whether it be 914, which is our Chevy Tahoe, the 2009, and then we have car 91-1, which is a 2016 Ford Explorer. The appraised value of the 2016 Explorer on the high end, the wholesale value is $17,000, and the wholesale value on the high end of the Chevy Tahoe is $7,500. That being said, the Chevy Tahoe currently has already been decommissioned for police use. We no longer can use it on the road. It has to be serviced again to be able to put it back on the street for patrol. I did speak with Kovach Ford, who does that work. They gave me a verbal estimate of around $2,000 to be able to put that car into service, and an additional $2,000 to take car 1 out of service to be able to sell it. In addition to that, we did do some research using data from Ford on the car, as well as from Chevy on the Tahoe. Between the two vehicles, just in fuel expenses alone, the Chevy Tahoe costs $1,884.15 more a year just in fuel costs. Entire cost, it's another $358 more than the Ford Taurus is. Overall, if we were to sell car number one currently as is, after the decommission and taking into expenses, the borough would get roughly $10,700 from that vehicle. Car 4 would then have to be brought back into service. The problem with car 4, which is the 2009 Chevy, is it is not a very good pursuit-rated vehicle. It's subpar compared to the 2016, which brings in liability and safety concerns. In addition to that, be in the best interest, in my opinion, for the Wayne Police Department moving forward. I would request that council, if possible, take this into consideration when making a decision on which vehicle to sell. And I appreciate the time in the matter.
Great, thanks.
Floor is open to the public. Tom Stavanger.
First, I'd like to reiterate the mayor's comments and welcome back Officer Murphy. He's been a fixture here for as long as I can remember. Now, secondly, what doesn't the borough manager control in this town? I mean,
Controls the borough.
the borough. I mean, she controls everything.
More or less, yes. Except for the police department.
Okay, I had asked Roseanne about putting Wyoming Engine 1 on the website, and Tamara has to approve it. A couple months ago, we had a discussion here which Tamara initiated about Facebook. That comments she put on Facebook, because we all know that she's the one who runs the Facebook page. Comments are not allowed on this page.
I don't know anything about it. I don't have Facebook.
Well,
I'm not interested in
well, then-
lots upon it. That's all.
No, if you don't know about it, I'm telling you about it.
Well, you can tell me all you want. I don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it.
I'm
You
not
just want to
interested.
hear this.
I'm not interested in Facebook.
Oh.
I don't have a computer. I'm too old of a dog to learn these tricks.
That's, it's a forum for the residents.
What is your question about it?
I don't know, why does she have all this control of everything? There isn't anything in the borough. She can borrow money whenever she wants, as we just said. I mean, there is nothing. She's never here. In or out. What's her salary?
You know if she has set hours?
8:30 at night. That's when the light in the office is like.
Anybody know if she has set hours? Does she come here at 8?
Yeah, but she's never here.
That's what I mean, does she have set hours? I'm asking.
So is there accountability, basically?
There is no
Actually,
accountability.
that was part of the audit, I think.
Yeah, actually, you're right. It is in the manager's report.
And according to the borough code, you're supposed to have. a
Compensated
manager's report.
absences. During our review of compensated absences, we noted a written formal policy for non-uniform employees is not in place. We recommend a written compensated absences policy regarding non-uniform employees be adopted. Again, this is the document that council didn't receive that was sent to you from the auditor.
Another thing there, she controls that. She didn't send the third page to you people. The only ones I heard say anything was the mayor and Mr. Bolonga and Mr. Stahl. The rest of you just sat here. Nobody said anything.
Nothing to say.
There's nothing. You mean you're happy that she didn't send it to you?
I'm not happy with it. I didn't say I was.
Well, you didn't say you weren't.
I didn't say I was either.
I mean, you just sat there like a bump on the log when the mayor's trying
What am I
to.
supposed to do? Jump up and start dancing for you out here?
No, you're supposed to speak for the residents that elected you. That's
That's what you want.
you were elected
When
to,
I was growing up, they told me silence is golden. And I did.
but you were elected to represent all these people in this room and all the people around the town. I mean, you don't question it. Talking to you is like just standing here talking to the wall. You don't listen to anything. I don't know.
Okay, next one, Audrey, you come back up again? Okay, thank you. Gary Walls?
Chair.
Actually, what I have to talk about is actually a bunch of things that we talked about tonight, but primarily right to know. Over the past, well, since July 12th, I've submitted no less than 8 right to know requests. I'll get that later. 6 of which I waited for an extension on for 5 days. Never got it. And then I got a contact from the Right to Know office indicating that there had been a response issued on the 16th of July, which just happens to be the day that we met with her. And I responded by saying that it was a complete fabrication and that nothing had been, I had got 0 email. And I guess it was about a week after that, I received a post office envelope with an envelope inside, which wasn't postmarked and was torn, which that day I brought over to you and you identified it as Tamara's handwriting on the envelope. Now, inside the envelope was a torn envelope and letter with no postmark, dated July 16th. And that was well beyond the 5 days in which she had, well, when I got it, it was well beyond the 5 days. So what I did was I went to the post office and I inquired with the post office why there was no postmark on it. They told me on damaged letters they usually don't. And then I asked them, I said it was time sensitive that I had to get, I should have had a response within 5 days, which I did not. And I said, well, if it was a damaged envelope, what would they do with it? She said they'd send it right away. I said, would it take 3 weeks? She said, no. It would be delivered as it normally would in the mail. So that leaves me in a quandary as to what I should do with all these, because there's about 6 of them. And in fact, one of them was kind of a setup, because I asked about when was the last time in the last 10 years that the EMS committee has met with the fire department. The answer was simple. She could have called you on the phone and you would have said never. Easily answered. I'm still 5 days, and I think within the next few, the 30 days is up, and I still have no response. The day I brought them over on July 12th, I happened to be seated in the office delivering them when Roseanne got the word that the audit was in. I still have no audit. I have no copy of the audit. That should have been handled within days, if not that day. They could have electronically transferred it to me. And it seems like there's like an effort to hide information. And that concerns me. This is information that the public is entitled to have. Among those, my more recent ones, happen to be on the video camera system. And she sent a denial that I wasn't entitled to that information. Although, as you can attest, there's 30 reasons why the Right to Know officer doesn't have to comply or can deny, none of which were indicated in the letter. And also, under Right to Know, the Right to Know officer is required to sign any correspondence. She never signs anything. You look like you want to ask a question.
What does the open records say? Should I talk to them? Did you write correspondence?
Well, I'm going to be filing appeals on it. And the one thing that you should understand about this is if this matter could result, if I'm correct, in a $1,000 fine,
To be honest,
And
I'd
speeches.
have to look at the statute, I don't have.
Well, I can tell you, it's $1,000 fine, $500 a day for every day the information is withheld.
I'm not saying you're incorrect, I'm just saying I don't know the answer to.
Well, I'm telling you, correct, because I looked it up. And I think there's a lot of issues that the council has to address with the borough manager. Because she's just not getting the job done. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Pat Scalonge.
Meetings Thursday would be today.
I just have one or two questions. The past few months, I have gone to different towns, and I sat in on their council meetings. Here, down the line, across the river. How does our town go about applying for grants? The towns that I have gone to, I cannot believe the grant money that these towns are getting to fix their communities. We're not getting anything. Who's in charge of that? Don't tell me borough manager.
We have a grant.
Pardon me?
We have a grant.
Yeah, but
Who's on
that
the grant
was
committee?
one that went in July, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? There was a grant that was started, I believe it was last month.
The Little League grant?
No, this was something else.
Question is, who's on the grant committee? Because when I came on, I tried to, begin to apply for grants and push that, and I was told that that's not my job, that it's got to go through the grant committee. At that point, the grant writer was basically told that he's not had contact with me as well, so that was another issue. So I'm asking, who's on the grant committee that's talking to Chris Cawley to figure out what grants we're applying for?
We sat with him. Yeah,
But that was on that.
both of us sat with him.
There is no.
Yeah, he gave us 2 or 3 that he said we should apply for. Joe.
So who was on the grant committee?
It was myself, Mike, and,
We were the only
Rudy, and I it was Mike and myself were there.
So we don't know who else is supposed to, who's on the committee though?
There is no action.
There's no actual committee, just.
There's no actual committee. That could be another issue then, because I'm pretty sure, well, they threw my stuff, but I was told the grant committee is the one that's supposed to be meeting with them. So
Yeah, we did. Mike did. So-
I'm asking you who's on the committee, you're saying.
Finance and grants.
Okay, were you ever asked to attend that? No? Okay.
And also, I love your idea. And I would love to help. I really would, because this town needs it for the children. Yes. And there was another thing I wanted to say, it was about what I can't remember.
If it's bad, then don't remember.
No, it was good. It was good. Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was now. With everything that has been brought out tonight and previous months and from other residents, please, is there any way to please get Tara away from borough management? Every time Mr. Wallner brings it up, they always get shot down. Now, I'm sure when you drive through town, you see how bad it's getting. And we need someone that will, she's never here at meetings, but yet she'll come over at nighttime when nobody's here. But we need someone that will stand behind the residents. And basically, council's not doing that. Yes, are not helping us.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, would you like to speak again, Mr. Jordan, or have you spoke already?
No, I simply wanted to address you concerning your police department situation. If I'm correct, you're going to take a vote on whether Mr. Flanagan's suspension should continue without pay. Correct? Yes. I will begin by saying to you that all of us in this room must believe in the presumption of innocence. He has not been convicted of any crime. However, having said that, we must have complete faith in the integrity of the police department that protects us. The officers of the Wyoming Police Department must have complete faith in the integrity of their leadership. Other law enforcement agencies must have a high degree of confidence when they share information with the Wyoming Police Department. Having said that, I strongly recommend to you that you continue a suspension without pay. I also recommend to you that if he is convicted of the original charge, a lesser included charge, or a plea of any type, such as noli contendere or an ARD, that you consider that a conviction and terminate his employment. Thank you.
It's my understanding that you also have a vacancy on the Civil Service Commission.
Right, and I couldn't say yes.
We do.
You do?
Yes.
Who resigned?
Mr. Jordan, who resigned from the civil service?
Vince did.
Mr. Cohen?
Yeah. You have myself and Joe Cox.
You would like to apply for that job?
Yes, I would. What's the process?
I believe you have to.
We have to request.
If you may, I'll take a look at the rules and regulations and I'll let.
I believe we have to open it up and put it in the paper to
Advertise.
Oh,
advertise.
sure.
Yes, and then get the applicants, and then I believe the mayor and the civil service committee interview them, and probably someone from the police committee.
I think they were appointed.
It's been such a long time.
I'll figure it out one day.
Yeah.
It's an appointment process to the council, and so that would submit it to their.
I don't think you have to advertise for it. You could.
It all depends on what your rules require.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at what you.
One last point of concern before we get to all the motions and everything. I know I laid out
We got one more guest speaker. Yes.
Okay.
Hold on, Joe. Bobby Brazel.
Hi, how are
Okay, I just wanted to say, Jeff, too, I want to be on record about the sidewalk. I have to correct myself. I said they did a good job. They're done. They're almost done. They need at least about 8 more blocks, and then they're done. They did a good job.
Cost us enough, Bob.
Yeah, really. All right, 2 things. First of all, I'd like to welcome back Officer Burke, too, because I was... And I didn't even know until tonight, but like, did he just fall from the sky, or how did he get right back on, or how did he get back on the police force?
Would you like me to answer?
Go ahead.
So Officer Murkovich provided the borough with medical clearance from his doctor saying he could return to work. Upon receiving that information and saying that he wanted to return, to be taken off a hard lung, he was returned to duty. As the borough, through the workers' compensation process, already had an IME done saying that he could return to work as well. So he was reinstated once it was determined that his clearances were up to date in regard to MOPAC and firearm qualifications, and the medical clearance was there.
Thank you.
That was the only thing hindering him coming back, right?
Well, without getting into detail, because it is a personnel issue, but Officer Merkovich was out on pardon one in workers' compensation, and once those were resolved, then he was returned to work.
Now, Mayor, I have to, I guess, refer to you as well about the, a bit about the security cameras. Now, let me understand, and Mike, George, you can probably clear it up too. I'm in charge of some cameras too. But I don't know what's that, now, when you say she can view the cameras here at the police station?
So is there one or two in there? Is there one inside? Do we know for sure?
There's actually 3 or 4 if you include the front and rear rooms there.
Yes, so those are all not accessible by the police department, only by the borough manager, which is insane. I don't have access. I'm lucky I have access to the building.
No, I mean, I'm not being smart, that's why I want to know. So, you police officers, you can't view those, or no? Yes or no?
The police department has only recently, myself, been turned over access to the cameras within the confines of the police department from Commissioner Flanagan, except for a single camera which I do not have access to on that PVR program.
So he has that?
I believe she does.
Okay, now, do you have to come in here to view those, or can you do that? Or does she have to come here to view those, or can she do it remotely by phone?
There's a perfect example if you ask Jerry Walsh, because he had a similar situation.
A couple months ago, we had an issue with some property back that we stored back there. There was an investigation initiated, and Officer Noble at the time wanted to review the tapes that she has in her office and was unable to do so because she, for whatever reason, didn't want to work.
I'll ask the police officers. Would I be correct in stating you also have one in your interview or interrogation room?
Yes, sir, that's been there for
Does that have very limited access?
currently, yes. The only people that I'm aware that can access that particular camera is myself at the moment, as far as I'm aware.
Good.
Now, is anybody familiar, are any of the local departments around your other boroughs, are their borough managers the same position?
I'm not sure.
Anybody know? So in other words, you've been mayor, what, 10, 11 months?
January, so.
January, yeah, but I mean, when the election,
Yeah.
you can't view them,
No,
and only one policeman here can do it so far.
correct.
How about Commissioner Flanagan?
The access to the cameras in this building, aside from 4, now if you count how many total cameras are in this building, ballpark it. I don't
There
know.
are some exterior cameras, sir, as well as ballpark, maybe 10 total in the building.
So 4 of them are viewable by the police department. The rest are viewable by the borough manager only.
All right,
Speaking of
I'm
Mr.
trying to answer my question again.
Speaking of Mr. Flanagan, since he is under suspension, you should make sure he has no access remotely to your cameras.
Well, that's another question I asked earlier, and I think we have to look into is there remote access to these camera systems? Who could access them? Is it a closed system? Actually, I need to talk to you before you, because there was something else I just thought about this.
My question again, can they be viewed on a portable, on a phone?
We don't know if there's a line into it, yes.
Don't you think somebody should know?
I don't have access to her office.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Jordan, you said Flanagan, if he's under investigation, should have no access.
That's correct, that's my opinion.
Is Tamara Smith still under investigation?
Yes.
A list of communications received since the last month.
Might I say something?
Go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody, I'm Chris Rivers, by the way, for all your applause and kind responses. Welcome me back. And I'd like to thank you.
I just wanted to finish. You said wait till the next person spoke.
Go ahead, Joe.
One thing that Frank had just mentioned, when we were talking about, Jerry applying for that job, was an application, probably a resume or something along those lines. I had asked Roseanne, after everything hit with the whole CPA issue, I had asked, Roseanne for a list of all applicants' resumes for the borough manager position when it was posted and when it was available and open. She in return, were you able to get me that information, Roseanne? No. And you guys all voted previous meetings that I would get access to anything I requested, correct? Without having to file a right to know, so who stopped you from getting that information? Well, who didn't give you the information? Okay.
Actually, that's in one of my right to know requests as well. I get to get a response on that.
So I think that's a real issue when council's majority votes for me to have access, and all I ask for is, a simple resume of the job applicant. I mean, you've got to be asking yourself some questions there when the other story hit the CPA. So I just want to follow up as far as, education background.
I had requested, maybe about 3 months ago, all the meeting minutes from 2007 or 8 and up. And the year she was hired, there's no minutes for her being hired. So like there's no minutes. So I don't even have on record that she was even hired. Because either the minutes were lost, I don't know what happens to minutes, but that's a pretty big issue. I mean, because the other borough manager was let go and I think she resigned in June of that year, 2010.
Who was mayor at the time, at that time?
Mayor Boyd. But in July, that meeting minutes are missing. And the rest of the minutes I have until the end of the year, her name's not on the top here, which in January she was retained.
So when was she hired? And what was
I
she
don't know, because I don't have that information.
Does she have a contract with the borough?
She's an at-will employee.
Well, she's not, if I don't do my job, I get fired. If I did 1/10 the thing, what are you guys afraid of? What legal ramifications are there gonna be if they get rid of her? Are you guys even looking at the possibility of bringing in somebody else? Is there anything anywhere that says if she doesn't do her job, she's gone?
We don't even know her set hours. We don't even know if she has to show up. We don't know any sick days.
I think the fact that the information I laid out today.
At the very least, somebody should make a motion to entertain the idea of exploring another borough manager option.
I think it's beyond. To be honest with you, I think it's beyond that. I mean, the information that I gave you guys today, along with all the other stuff that we've discussed in the past, I mean, how do you decide who's not going to get a part of the audit?
How do you not do your job and keep it?
You're dominant. What about the
So, if you recall, we had the gentleman come in from the governor's office that's going to be doing the early intervention program. There were many, many hiccups along the way, but we finally got that through. So he is in the process of getting us set up with that. There were multiple hiccups, but that's finally set up.
Joe, he's doing a good job, Jim.
So I'll call you back to
He's doing a good job.
Jim Rose?
Yes.
call you back to the agenda. You guys went through public comment. Everyone who signed up to speak was able to speak.
Okay.
Mayor, you said the piece on the issue that you wanted to raise.
Yeah.
Chad, if you could bring it back to wherever the agenda item left off.
No, it's really good.
So go ahead.
Communications. The list of communications received since the last meeting has been presented to council and accepted by a motion made by Mr. Bologna, seconded by Mrs. Smiles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A list of bills paid, received for payments have been presented to council and accepted by a motion made by Mr. Urick. Seconded by Mrs. Miles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Unfinished business. Is there anything on the crossing guards from the school board?
Jared did not attend the July meeting. He was absent, so he wasn't able to ask. So Shannon said he's going to ask again in August. So we haven't heard anything further on it yet from the school approving it to us to increase it to the $10. So we're still waiting.
Okay, what we should do is if nothing happens before that, we could pay them after their retro. Yeah. retroactive.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
We're talking about the crossing guards. If it doesn't get okayed by the school board, we could pay them retroactively, so that's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Resolution should be voted on the motion to hire Lou Degman as crossing guard for 2018-2019 school year, depending on his clearance. Mr. Mr. Flynn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to hire Pat Corma as a crossing guard for 2018-2019 school year, pending on clearance. Mr. Beloga. And Mr. Yurick. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to hire Carmela Kubak as an alternate crossing guard, pending clearance. Mr. Flynn.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Schultz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion to hire Matt Evans as a part-time police officer. Mr. Beloga. Second. Mr. Yurick. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion to hire Matt Miller as a part-time police officer.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Flynn and Mr. Beloga.
Mr. Schultz.
Schultz, I'm sorry. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to continue the suspension without the pay of Police Commissioner Mike Flanagan indefinitely pending upon the outcome of the criminal charges pending against him. Mr. Beloga
I'll second.
and Mr. Stoll. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved.
I make a motion to terminate Tamara Smith as borough manager and to temporarily appoint Roseanne Colors as borough manager.
Motion on the floor to suspend camera.
Terminate. Terminate.
Yeah, if I may, you should break those up into two separate ones.
Terminate
So
Tamara
motion to-
Smith.
Go ahead, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but whatever motion you want to do with regard to Tamara.
Could you please speak a little louder?
I made a motion
I
to
was just
terminate
informing
Tamara
Councilman Beloga that he should break his motion into two separate actions. He had said a motion to terminate and a motion to appoint the secretary as the borough manager. He should break that up into two, so there'd be a motion to terminate, and then however that works out, and then a motion to appoint a replacement for the successor.
I make a motion to terminate Tamara Smith as borough manager.
Motion on the floor to terminate Tamara Smith.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Schultz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay? Vote?
Mr. Nelwaco?
No?
Mr. Yurk?
No.
Mr. Beloga?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
No.
Mrs. Smiles? Mr. Stubbs?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
You know, by all
If
these.
you can please,
There's a meeting going on here. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it that way.
Bunch of cowards.
The second motion, I guess, was not going on.
Okay. I make another motion that only police officers have access to any cameras in the building, whether they're here, whether they're downstairs, outside, and nobody should have access to outside of the building, just the police officers themselves. This will ensure that the borough doesn't have a liability issue.
If I could give you a small piece of insight on that. With regard to activities inside the interrogation room or other necessary police functions, I understand where you're going, but outside of that, you have borough interests at play regarding employment, accountability, also as well as just borough business that is civil in nature outside of the police aspect. So to exclude everyone besides the police seems a little short-sighted.
The police are secure here, and I mean, you don't have, if you go to a casino, you don't have a civilian looking at cameras. You don't have somebody that's the janitor looking at cameras. You have the security looking at the cameras. That's why the police officers should be looking at the cameras only.
So if there's a slip and fall or a crime or anything takes place that cameras need to be reviewed, you would assume the police department would be involved to begin with.
Obviously, right.
Therefore,
If somebody,
especially have an outside civilian looking at cameras that are in the police department is insane. And as Mr. Jordan was kind enough to say, is, you put yourself in liability here. So
I make that motion. Only the police officers have access to the cameras.
Motion on the floor. Police department has access to all our cameras in here.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Goss. All in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays?
No, in the form it's at, right now, I'd say no.
There's no form.
What's the, I think we need to vote, and then I'll say, or if there's something that we'd like to do differently. As the motion stands, we should take a vote up or down on the motion itself.
All in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays?
No.
One no. Roll call.
Mr. Nolasco?
Yes, very good.
Mr. Yurick?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
No.
Mrs. Smiley? Yes. Mr. Stoltz?
Yes.
Motion passed, 4-2. Thank you.
I make another motion. To put the Tahoe on bid,
What's that?
to put the 2009, what is it, car 1, I guess it is?
Car 4, sir.
Car 4, sorry. Out for bid.
in other words, keep car one that council previously.
Right.
Okay.
I will put Tahoe, car number 4 out for bid instead of car 1.
Good. Motion on the floor to put car number 4 off for bid instead of car number 1.
Can I just ask for clarification first? Was there a previous motion to put car 1 out to bid?
And if it is,
We just got the stipulations here, that's all we have.
They just got the bids on the estimates, and like I said, Officer McGurk was nice enough on his own time to figure out the cost because council had voted on it. They just got the estimate in, so nothing has been put out to bid yet. It was voted that car one would go. There was, what's that?
It's 2 go out to bid.
2 go out to bid, so we just have the estimate now, but it was never placed out to bid yet.
So council already made a motion and
To start
passed
the
a
process,
motion
yes.
to put car 1 out to bid.
Correct.
So I think you would need to actually do a motion to rescind that motion, and then you would do a new motion to put car 4 out instead of car 1.
I make a motion to rescind that motion to put car number 1 out for bid.
Motion on the floor to put car number 1 out for bid. All in favor, signify by saying
Take it
aye.
off. Take it off. Take it off. It's previously in another meeting.
All right. Number 1 out for bid. and
Off.
number- off.
I'll second the motion, take it off, rescind the motion.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays?
No.
No. I say before we do anything on this, we review these things ourselves, look it over, and not have one man make a decision on what we should do.
Man's in charge of the police department.
I don't care what he is, he's not a car salesman, he doesn't
He
make.
gave you the information.
Well, we're gonna look it over before I.
If I could, before you guys get into it, maybe do the roll call to formalize the vote.
Mr. Delaweko?
No.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
No.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes. Mr. Scully?
Yes.
Two no, three yes.
Six. Motion accepted.
Three,
I'm sorry.
2 to 3. 3 to 3. Mayor.
I have.
Where's the third? Frank said yes. You said no, and Flynn said no.
Mrs. Miles.
She said yes.
I said yes.
I thought Mrs. Miles said no.
You should redo that just for clarity.
Do it again?
You should recall.
Okay, Mr. Delaweko?
No.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
No.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes. Mr. Scully?
Yes.
Four yes and two.
So the prior motion was received.
So it's up to.
So that's done. Now they have to make a motion to put the other one on.
Oh,
If they want to put another one, they don't have to.
I'll make the motion to put the Chevy Tahoe 2009 out for bid. Or number 4. Sorry. That's the motion.
This is card number 4 now.
Whatever car it is.
Car number 4. Okay, car number 4, Officer Chevy Tahoe. All in favor, say by saying aye.
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 Nays? Ayes have it, so moved.
Who's second motion?
Josie. Okay, motion to adjourn. Mr. Yurek, second by Mrs. Miles. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.